from the moment a stone is laid on the ground, it becomes part of a legend that stays alive for centuries. But alas, the vagaries of time leave their mark on the strongest of monuments. Putting them back together, one by one, brings the glory days that we once lived in back to the present and helps us uncover ways of living that can define our future. The Deccan Heritage Foundation has made social and environmental relevance and community participation as the cornerstones of each of its restoration projects.
ನಮ್ಮೂರಿದೆ ಅಲಿಯಾಬಾದ್ ಅಂತ. ನಾವು ಸಣ್ಣ ಇರ್ಲಾಕೆಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದೆವು. ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಏನೋ ಗವಿದ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮದು. ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲದು 3 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಕರೆಜಿದೆ. 3 ಕಿಲೋ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ 36 ಬಾವಿಗಳಿದೆ. 36 ಬಾವಿಗಳದಾಗ ನಾವು ತೆಗೆದಿಂದ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಸಾಫ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು 22 ಬಾವಿಗಳು. ಒಂದು ಕಿರಣಿಗೆ 20 ಜನ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಕಿರಣಿ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ ತೊಗ್ತಾರೆ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆವು. ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ಟೈಮ್ನಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಹೊಲ ಗದ್ದೆಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಸರಿಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳತ್ತಾರ. ಬಿಳಿ ಜೋಳ, ಗೋಧಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ ನಡೆದಿದೆ. ಮತ್ತಂದರೆ ಇದರ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಮನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ನೀರು ಬಾವಿಗಳು ನೀರು ಇರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ತೆಗ್ದಿನ ಬಾದು ಬಾವಿಗಳಿಗೆ ನೀರು ಸರಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಕುಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆವಪ್ಪ ನೀವು ತೆಗ್ದಿನ ಸರಿಗಾಯ್ತು, ಚೆಂದಾಗ್ಯದ, ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾವಿದಾಗ ಬೇಸಿಗೆ ಟೈಮ್ನಾಗ ನೀರು ಇರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ನೀರವ ಕುಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರವ ಅಂತ ಅವರು ಜನರು ಅಂತಾರೆ.
A team of dedicated individuals that the DHF supported in association with Sahas NGO to collect and process solid waste in a scientific manner have now become entrepreneurs and continue to labor to keep the Karay's waters clean.
ಅವರು ಮೊದಲೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದರಿಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ನು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ದಿವಸ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡತ್ತಾರೆ.
ಒಣ ಕಸ ಹಸಿ ಕಸ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಕುಳ್ಳತ್ತಾರ ರೀ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮುಂಜಾನೆ 7 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಹೋಯ್ತು, 1 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಯೂನಿಟ್ಗೆ ಬರ್ತೇವೆ. ಯೂನಿಟ್ಲಿಂದ 1 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಲ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೇವೆ ರೀ. ಸಾಲ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತು ಲಂಚ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಯ್ತದ ಊಟಕ್ಕೆ, ಮತ್ತು 3ಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದೇವು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಶಾಪಿಗೆ ಹೋಯ್ತೇವೆ ರೀ.
ಶಾಪಿಗೂ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಡಬ್ಬ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿವೆಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಡಬ್ಬದೊಂದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೀಲ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಥರ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ. ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ರೀಸೈಕಲ್ ಏನು ಯೂಸ್ ಆಯ್ತವ ಅವು ಸೆಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ. ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ದು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಡಿಗೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಡಿ ಐತಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಸೊ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಇವತ್ತು ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಆಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಗಳಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅಂದರೆ ಎಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಮಾಡಲಲ್ಲಿ. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ತೇನು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸು ಹೋಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಪರಿಸರಕ್ಕೆ ಸೇರೋದಾಗಿರೋದು, ಕರೇಜ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸೇರಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನೀರಿನ ಮಲಿನ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ತಡೆಗಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
The DHF's attempts to revive the 15th century Karay's water system at Bidar, Karnataka stands testament to how restoration can be an effective means to arrest environmental degradation and bolster community involvement in the protection of a monument. The restoration of Gagan Mahal in Anegundi, Hampi World Heritage Area was completed in 2022, conserving this epitome of the courtly architecture of the legendary Vijayanagara Empire of the 16th century. The Gagan Mahal and the village square at its front, once the center of Anegundi's economic and social activity, have been revived as the very focus of village activity once again, bringing the entire community closer.
Anagundi was present Anagundi, and Anagundi before Vijayanagara Anagundi it was only a royal enclaves. After the panchayat establishment, and they wanted some office place, some place for an office, so my uncle granted it to the panchayat.
This building was being used by Gram Panchayat and as Gram Panchayat office. So they had done a lot of changes in the interiors of the building. So they had plastered it, they had put electrical wires. There is a wall painting inside of an elephant, so they had put electric meter right on top of the paint. So to get this building to its original glory, we had to remove all these additional things, additional accretionary things. One fine day when we were just working on our building and the plastering work on all these things were happening, one of our masons just asked, "Sir, can I try doing this stucco work? Can I try doing this artwork?" And I just said, "Yeah, you should try." And he started it, and it was quite good. So it was so we decided to do the entire stucco work on the building with them only. So these two masons did the entire stucco work on this building, and wherever they needed some help or some assistance, I came in.
ಹೊಸದು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದಂದರೆ ಅವು ಗಾರೆ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಮಾರ್ಬಲ್ ಪೌಡ್ರ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಕಲಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ಮೇಲೆ ಫಿನಿಶಿಂಗ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಕಟ್ಟಡ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಹಳೆ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ನಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದ್ರೂ ಈ ಥರ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ತಿಳಿಸಿ.
ನೀರಜ್ ಸರ್ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದಿನ ಹೈದ್ರಾಬಾದ್ ಬರಬೇಕು ಸರ್ ನಾನು ಅಂತಂದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸರ್ ಅವರು. ಮತ್ತು ಲೋಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸು ಇಂಗ್ಲೆಂಡ್ನಿಂದ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿದ್ದರು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕಂತ ನನಗೆ ಕರೆ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. ಮೇನ್ ಗಾರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಫಿನಿಶಿಂಗ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಥರ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಥರ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದು ಒಂದು ವಾರ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪ್ ಇತ್ತು ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಶಾಂಪಲ್ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದೇ ಥರ ಅವ್ರ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್. ನಾನು ಅವ್ರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿ ಈ ಥರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತಂದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್. ನನಗೊಂದು ಹೆಮ್ಮೆ ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲೆಂಡ್ನವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡೋದಂದರೆ ನನ್ನ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲೇ ಅದು ಮರೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಮೇನ್ ಕಾರಣ ನಮ್ಮ ಶರತ್ ಸರ್, ನೀರಜ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರು ನನ್ನ ಅಷ್ಟು ದೂರ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮೇಲೆ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟಾರಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಪೂರಾ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್ ನಾವು.
Organically, it happened ki all the work on this building, restoration work, was done by local people only. After the restoration also, it kind of actually belongs to Anegundi only, actually belongs to this area.
ನಮ್ಮ ಯುವರಾಜ್ ಸಾರು ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದು ಭಾಳ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗೈತ್ರಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದಂಗೆ ಮೈಸೂರು ಅರಮನೆ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ ಐತ್ರಿ ಅದು. ಮೊದಲು ಏನಿದ್ದಿಲ್ರಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಇತ್ತು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದಿತ್ತು, ಬೀಳಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರ, ಬೇಸಿದ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅವರು ಸಾರವರು.
It's quite satisfying to see that, because kids are coming here, they are playing, and elder people are coming here. Once they have their lunch and they come here to have their evening tea, and they come here, they chat, and it's quite, it feels nice. Yeah.
The DHF has also conserved a large section of the former British residency at Hyderabad, Telangana. It has restored the model of the residency, the British cemetery in the premises, in collaboration with the British Association for the Cemeteries of South Asia, and the Rang Mahal Gateway and its adjoining Deccan gardens, the latter with the financial support of Sonata Software. The residency complex, spread over 42 acres, is today home to the Telangana Women's University and has given new generations of women the opportunity to be a part of history. The contrast between the residency building with its Palladian columns guarding sphinxes in European style and the Rang Mahal that shares architectural continuity of the Qutub Shahi and Asaf Jahi eras with delicate tapering pillars, lattice work, and intricate stucco work highlights the richness of the area's heritage.
The model what you see here is considered to be one of the oldest models. It's known as also a doll house. In 1950s, this whole place came under the Osmania University after the British left, and they handed over to Nizam to set up the Women's College. In 1978 cyclone, there was a big mahogany tree which fell on the model. That was when the model was broken, and further there were a lot of maintenance issues and things. The whole thing got neglected, this whole area. First this model conservation started, and then we were able to start the main building. This model also helped us in understanding the architecture of the main building, because many things which were there in this model, the architectural elements, we found that they were hidden inside the walls in the main building.
The cemetery was something that was documented way long back in 2010, but the project had not taken off because there were problems of access. Since it's a women's college, the access is restricted, and finally when the main building work started, we reinitiated the project with the British Association for Cemeteries for South Asia. And it was a unique project because the cemetery was completely overgrown. There was construction debris that had been dumped in it, and it was quite a challenge for us just to even start documenting the cemetery.
Deccan Heritage Foundation took up this task of restoring this historic garden. The garden has a linear design, which is a very unique feature of the Deccani gardens. We tried to expose all the layers, but retained predominantly the essence of the Deccani garden. As per the design of the landscape architect, there is a productive garden in it. The garden tries to evoke various senses. One of the things what we are trying to inculcate is how the college can be involved in maintenance of this place.
Over time, Baksa and DHF together have also put in some funds to continue maintaining it. And now with the main building and the model and the gardens also being restored, they will be maintained together as one collective site.
With the restoration of the gardens now complete, the DHF is in the process of restoring the Rang Mahal Pavilion, with continued support from Sonata Software over the next 2 years. About 100 kilometers away from Hyderabad, the DHF seeks to work at Panagal, Telangana, to preserve the temple style and architecture that was prominent during the time of the Chalukyas of Kalyani that can be seen at the Pachala Someshwara temple here. The columns, walls, and basements in the temple complex are covered in exquisite sculpture and reliefs of the artistic tradition that has mainly been lost in Telangana.
Panagal is a architecturally very significant temple. In fact, what we see today as the pinnacle of Kakatiya architecture, Ramappa, which is now declared as a World Heritage Site, the Pachala Someshwara temple in Panagal predates Ramappa temple. So it's a very important benchmark in temple architecture. I mean, in terms of architectural restoration, now it's a heap of stones. Now it's like a puzzle to put it back together. All the stones are there, but they're all dismantled and kept it. So we have to reassemble it.
Deccan Heritage Foundation India has significantly contributed to securing a 3-year grant from the Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation, the AFCP, to restore the Jailakshmi Vilas mansion in Mysore, Karnataka. The project is set to begin in the summer of 2023 under the technical guidance of the DHF.
A bit of the history is that Jailakshmi Vilas mansion was constructed in between 1901 to 1907, and it was constructed for one of the princes of the Mysore royals, and her family and her lived here up to the 1950s when it was acquired by the university and converted into Manasa Gangotri. So an initial restoration happened in 2000. After that, the building has been used as a folklore museum. Currently, there is a couple of collapses that has happened in the west wing, and due to which we went out to look for funds for the restoration. There's a bitumen layer in the terrace, And as soon as we took it out, we noticed that the terrace has numerous cracks. So our level of intervention then changes. AFCP grant was one of the things that came up around that time. We had a couple of rounds of application and a procedure to do, after which we were granted $300,000 for the restoration, mainly of the West Wing and documentation of all the collections.
ಜಾನಪದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿದ 14,000ಕ್ಕೂ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ತವೆ. ಇವರಿಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಒಂದು ಈ ಸಂಗ್ರಹಾಲಯವನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಬೆಳೆಸಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಆಲೋಚನೆಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂಥವರು PR ತಿಪ್ಪೇಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥವರು. ರಾಜ್ಯದ ನಾನಾ ಭಾಗಗಳ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಅನೇಕ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನು ಸಂಗ್ರಹಿಸಿ ತರೋದಲ್ಲದೇನೆ ಆ ವಸ್ತುಗಳ ಚಿತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ, ಅದರ ಹೆಸರುಗಳನ್ನು ಬರೀ ದಾಖಲೆ ಮಾಡುವುದಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಸ್ವರೂಪ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನುವುದರ ಸಣ್ಣ ಸಣ್ಣ ಚಿತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಡಿಸಿರೋದು ಕೂಡ ಬಹಳ ಅಪರೂಪದ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನನಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
The main collection is the leather puppetry for us, because it's actually given by puppetry groups, and the previous curator who collected all of this was a puppeteer too. So he has a very interesting collection of puppets, not just leather but also wood and string puppets here. And we also have an archaeological wing where there are certain objects displayed from excavations done by the university. And an important gallery which pays tribute to the literature side of Karnataka, where we have objects collected and memorabilia of various laureates and poets collected and displayed here. The Jalakshmi Vilas mansion plays a very important point of interest in understanding the whole geography of Mysore. So initially this was called the West End, and it was beyond the city limits of Mysore. And interestingly, this building has always been in use. So it was used as a residence, then later as a college, and now as a museum. So it has undergone many stages of adaptive reuse, and it's something where people can see that any heritage building can always be reused, and there's always potential for it to become something beyond what was the intended use of the building. DHF here is involved in mainly looking at the larger vision and also supervising that conservation happens according to the right principles and all the charters of conservation are followed. So mainly the larger vision is to see that there is a sustainability module. So beyond restoration, there is certain use put to it which generates revenue and also helps the society at large, since there is an added advantage of it being within the university, because there's already so many students that this building can reach out to.
ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯಕ್ಕೆ ಜೊತೆಗೂಡಿ ಸಹಾಯ ನೀಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂಥವರು ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಕಟ್ಟಡದ ಉಳಿವಿಗಾಗಿ, ಜೀರ್ಣೋದ್ಧಾರಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ಅದರ ಮೂಲ ಸ್ವರೂಪದ ಹಾಗೆ ಪರಂಪರೆಯ ಕಟ್ಟಡವನ್ನಾಗಿ ಉಳಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದಕ್ಕೆ DHF ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯವರು ಆ ಒಂದು ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಅವರಿಗಿದೆ. ಒಂದು ಪರಂಪರೆಯ ಕಟ್ಟಡ ಹೇಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವುದು ಡೆಕ್ಕನ್ ಹೆರಿಟೇಜ್ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ, ಆ ಹೆರಿಟೇಜ್ ಅನ್ನೋದರಲ್ಲೇ ಪರಂಪರೆಯ ಬಗೆಗಿನ ಅವರ ಕಾಳಜಿಯನ್ನು ಎತ್ತಿ ತೋರಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಈ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕೈ ಜೋಡಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬರುವ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪರಿಣತಗೊಳಿಸುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಈ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಯಲಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗ್ತದೆ.
For us, the Deccan is a passion. The restoration projects have been remarkable. We've done most of them in Karnataka and in Telangana.
They are taking up the community building activities with the local community. They want to encourage the people participation in this adoptive monument scheme.
It is this idea of this multicultural layered society that really is open to all possibilities that attracted me, and that I found the architecture so fascinating and so innovative. And that's when we decided with George Michel to start the Deccan Heritage Foundation.
I thank the Deccan Heritage Foundation for taking up this unique project and setting a benchmark.
The Deccan Heritage Foundation's mantra of making the local community the active stakeholders in a restored monument and using heritage conservation as a means of environmental conservation could ensure the survival of the monument and propel it into the future, into a new life in the centuries to come.